Welcome to the Airlift Workshop with Al, Airlift's Engineering Project Manager. Today, we'll be working on a Ram 1500. We're installing the Airlift 1000 kit to eliminate squat, trailer sway, rough ride, and bottoming out, allowing us to tow and haul with safety and comfort. This video doesn't replace your installation manual, so grab yours out of the box or get a digital copy at airliftcompany.com and let's get started. Raise the vehicle on a hoist or jack up the rear and support the frame with safety stands. Then lower the axle or raise the body of the vehicle. To prep our air spring for installation, remove the plastic cap from the barbed stem on the end and expel the air from the air spring by rolling it up towards the stem. Replace the cap on the stem in order to hold the flat shape. Fold the air spring into a hot dog bun shape so that it'll fit inside the coil spring once we have our vehicle properly supported and once the suspension is fully extended. With the stem at the top, insert the flattened air spring into the coil spring at the lowest opening. Push the air spring up inside the rings of the coil by hand or with a blunt instrument such as a spoon-type tire iron. Remember not to use anything sharp or you'll risk puncturing the air spring. When the air spring is completely within the coil, remove the cap and allow the spring to assume its molded, inflated shape. When cutting airlines, never cut from the side. You leave a jagged edge and ruin the hose. Instead, use a sharp razor blade to get a crisp, clean cut. A hose cutter will also do the trick. Now we're ready to attach the airline to our spring. Slide the airline clamp onto the airline using pliers. Run the airline down through the top of the coil spring. Next, slip the airline through the protector and onto the air spring's valve. Use the pliers again to move the clamp, this time securing the airline over the valve. Finally, position the protector inside the coil so that it rests in place over the valve. You can decide where to mount your inflation valves, which will also determine the route your airline will travel along the frame of the car. We'll use the bumper here, but other options for inflation valve placement include the license plate recess and the wheel well flanges. Based on your valve location decision, route the airline along the frame, avoiding heat sources and sharp bends, and allowing the appropriate amount of slack. When utilizing the recommended T-line routing technique, slide an airline clamp onto the airline. Push the airline over one side of the T until all the barbs are covered, and use pliers to slide the clamp over the barbed section. Secure the airlines along the frame using the provided zip ties. To install the Schrader valve, slide on the airline clamp and then attach the valve. Clamp the airline onto the valve. Drill a hole for the inflation valve. Place a nut and star washer on the air valve. Push the inflation valve through the hole and use a rubber washer, flat washer, and another nut to secure it in place. Tighten the nuts to secure the assembly and push on the valve cap. Raise the axle or lower the vehicle body until the air springs lightly touch the lower spring seat and upper spacers, and make one last check for any heat sources in close proximity to the spring or lines. To make sure your airlift kit is airtight, inflate the system to 35 psi and spray a soap solution on all connections and valves while checking for exiting air bubbles. That just about does it. Thanks for joining us in the Airlift Workshop.